This week, I'll lead you through a gentle practice to release tension around the hips and the lower back. Let's get started. For this week's practice, the only prop that we'll need is some kind of a support that we can place under the pelvis in a supported bridge pose. So I'm going to use a bolster, but you could have a block or some kind of a cushion for yourself. I do have some knee pads here as well for my sensitive knees. So if you have similar knees, just have something to cushion your knees, but that is a very optional prop. And then we shall get started. We're going to start from an easy seat. So it could be a cross-legged seat, or you might choose a butterfly seat if that feels better for you. Wherever you feel that there's some space to move your hips in this seat. So once you have found your pose, just start by rocking from side to side first. And as we do this rocking, we're looking for some movement in the hips, in the pelvis, and you might still adjust your legs, because you might still find a different kind of a shape, place for your legs that allows some more movement for you. It might be, for example, changing the crossing in your legs. So just let yourself rock a couple more times from side to side. And then we'll bring our weight to center. And we're going to bring hands onto the knees or onto the thighs. And then from that rocking movement, we'll go into a circle. And now this movement might be more for your lower back, or more for your hips, or maybe both. So you might visualize a circle under the pelvis, and you're trying to follow the outlines of the circle as you move the weight from one side to the other, from front to back. Let's try changing the direction, that circling movement. Or if you feel that there's not a lot of mobility around the hips now, maybe you're just more focusing on circling the lower back. Maybe you're more moving through the lower back. But just inviting some movement there in the lower spine, in the pelvic area. It's also a good time to just check in how much movement we can find. It might be that we're feeling very stuck today, and that's very fine. Don't force yourself. We're just doing our initial check-in. Let's do another circle. And then bring yourself to center. If you need to adjust your legs, you can still adjust your legs. We'll go into a side bend. So now start to slide your right hand along the mat, along the floor to your right side. And then as you breathe in, gently reach up through the left arm and exhale. See if you can lean just a bit further into that side bend. You're very welcome to bend that left arm. Maybe bring the hand behind the head, behind the neck. And focus on gently grounding down through the left side of the pelvis as you lean away from that left hip. So could we find maybe some gentle stretching on the lower end of the left side? Take another breath in and out. Keep your shoulders soft. Keep breathing down towards your belly, towards the lower back. And then with the next breath, gently lift yourself up and just release the hands down. Roll the shoulders. And we'll go to the other side. So now slide or walk your left hand along the mat. Then as you inhale, float that right arm up. And as you exhale, see if you could bend just a bit further to the left. And again, you could happily bend that right arm. Maybe the right hand is resting on the head or behind the head. And focus on breathing all the way down towards the lower back. Grounding down through that right buttock, right hip. So keeping the hips, keeping the pelvis heavy. Take one more breath here, in and out. slowly with your next breath, lift yourself back up. And again, release the arms. Just roll the shoulders. And then we're going to lean onto the hands. So I'll turn sideways so it's easier for you to see. We're still in a seat, but now we're leaning weight onto the hands, giving a bit more freedom for the hips. And start to swing your legs from side to side, looking for that internal and external rotation through the hips. You can let your whole pelvis rock from side to side. So as your knees go to right, maybe the left buttock happily lifts off the mat. When knees go to left, maybe the whole right side of the pelvis lifts up. Just see if the rotation maybe varies from one side to the other. You might start to find some twisting through the spine as well. Let's go one more time from side to side, just so that you've been on the left and the right side the same amount of times. And after those last swings, bring yourself to center. Leave your feet on the mat. You could step feet a bit wider apart, but knees bent. And then gently lean over the thighs, over the knees. So allowing a gentle forward bend. We're not looking for a big stretch, just looking for a gentle ease in the lower back. If you feel that you want to look for a bigger stretch, you might open your legs so that you can lean between the legs. Still keeping the knees bent, but you're just kind of walking your upper body further forward between the legs. Send your breaths all the way down to the lower back. Keeping shoulders soft, keeping neck soft. Take another breath in and out. And then slowly bring your back up, bring your neck, your head up. And then from that seat, bring yourself onto all fours. And if you know that you have sensitive knees, then this would be a good time to bring some cushioning under the knees. And we're going to go into a low lizard lunge. So first, step your left foot forward, quite close to hands, but then you could walk that left foot a bit further out to the side. Some weight on the hands, so hands either on the mat, or if you feel that that's a very long reach, then you could bring a bolster or a block under the hands. That might give a bit more space for your upper body. Now we start to circle the pelvis. So we're kind of circling the weight from the right knee to hands to the left foot. Could be a small circle, could be a bigger circle. We might find some stretching at the back of that left leg, front of the right leg. And again, it's just mobilizing and trying to find some freedom of movement around the hips in the pelvic area. And release the lower back. So we're also, with that movement, we are massaging the lower back. We could change direction if that feels good. And you might round the lower back more if that feels good. You can play with how much you lean the pelvis forward, how much you send the pelvis back. Make sure that you're breathing. Sometimes when we focus on these movements, it's easy to hold the breath because we're so focused on what we're doing with our body. Let's do another circle, another breath. And then allow that movement to calm down. Bring your both knees on the mat. And we're going to lean into a child's pose. And first child's pose, I'm suggesting to keep the knees quite close together. And that often allows the spine to round a bit more. Head might lean down onto the mat, or you could bring hands under the head. If it feels better to gently rock the pelvis from side to side, feel free to do that. But focus on sending your breaths down towards the lower back and really allow your pelvis to become heavy. Not pushing it, not pulling it anywhere, just allowing it to become heavy. Softening down towards the feet. And again, keeping shoulders soft as well. Take another breath here, in and out. And then slowly with your next few breaths, find yourself back onto hands and knees. And we're going to go into that low lizard lunge on the other side. So now we'll step the right foot forward. Again, you could have your hands on the mat, or if you want, you could have a bolster, have some blocks under the hands if you feel that gives more space. The right foot could go further out to the side, and then we go back to those circling movements. So looking for movement in the hips, in the thighs, and allowing the lower back to gently move. Now that the movement is a bit more familiar on the second side, see if you could focus a bit more on breathing. Could we let the pace of the breath guide the pace of the movements as well? So we're finding that support from our breath for the movements. If you want, you can change the direction. And again, see how it feels to rotate the other way. And this side might feel very different. We're easily quite asymmetrical around the hips, the legs, so it's okay if the movement feels maybe easier or maybe a bit more stuck on this side. Let's do a couple more circles. And then slowly again allow the movement to calm down. Bring yourself back onto all fours. And then we'll do one more child's pose. This time you could open or kind of turn the legs wider apart. So bring knees further out. Feet could be closer together if that feels good, or wider apart. And then lean forward more between the legs. So we might be going a bit more to the inner thigh, groin area. This might feel very different in the lower back as well. And send your breaths all the way down towards the pelvis, towards the pelvic floor. Take a few more breaths in and out here. Each breath out, softening, releasing tension. And then after those few breaths, bring hands back on the mat. Help yourself up into a seat. If you have any knee pads, props there that you need to move aside, you can do that. And then bring yourself to lie down on the back. And just have your bolster or block or pillow somewhere nearby. Once you're on your back, we'll swing the legs again a few times from side to side like we did in that seat earlier. But now that we're lying down, it might feel quite different. Again, we are playing with that internal and external rotation in the hips. Allow a few more swings. If you need to stop anywhere along the way, you might find a nice stretch somewhere. I'm finding a quite nice stretch around the thighs, the hip flexor area. And then again, once you've visited both sides the same amount of times, bring your legs back to center and we'll go play with some bridge movements and then our supported bridge. So first we'll move up and down a couple of times and then we'll stay in a longer supported bridge. Feet in a place where you feel you can press down. So don't bring feet too close to the pelvis, leave some space there. Arms resting on the mat. Inhale. And as you exhale, press down through the feet, especially through the heels, lifting your pelvis, your back off the mat. Opening through the front, feeling that engagement through the back side. Take another breath in, up in your bridge. And then exhale, slowly soften down. And throughout these movements, try to keep your inner thighs engaged. That will balance the buttock activation. So again, as you exhale, press down through the feet. Lift the pelvis, lift the back off the mat. Sometimes if we use the buttocks too much, we start to kind of crunch the lower back. So let your inner thighs stay active, balancing that buttock activation, keeping a bit more space in the lower back. And then again, with your next exhalation, lower down. And then the next bridge, we're going to stay a bit longer. So make sure you can reach for your prop. One more time. Exhale, lift the pelvis, the back off the mat. And then we're going to pull that prop, whether it's a bolster or block, under the pelvis. Or it could be under your pelvis and lower back. Where do you feel you can find support? So if you have a bolster, it could be sideways or it could be lengthwise under the lower back. Same with your block. Find a place where you can then release your back onto that support. And you decide if you keep your knees bent, or if you'd like to bring legs into some form of a butterfly shape, if that feels better. Or you might extend the legs. And if you extend the legs, feet can be wider apart or closer together. You can bring arms higher up if that feels good as well. So lots of options here. Make sure you base your choices on keeping the pelvic area of your lower back soft. Not pushing it too far. Not looking for a too big of a stretch, because sometimes if we push too far, we start to build up tension. Send a few more breaths all the way down to the belly, all the way down towards the pelvic floor. Breathing into your pelvic bowl. Inhalations moving down and exhalations sliding back up out of that bowl. And then with your next couple of breaths, if you have your legs in the butterfly or extended, slowly find your feet back onto the mat. Bring arms lower down. We're going to lift the pelvis off that support and then just slide the prop out to the side, releasing the back, releasing the pelvis onto the mat. And you could gently rock the pelvis from side to side. We're going to next look for a twist. And for this twist, if you want to go a bit more into the outside of the hips, the thighs, we could do the twisted roots or the eagle legs. So if you want to try, cross your left leg, your left thigh on top around the right thigh, like sitting at your desk, you're crossing your legs, and then move your knees, your legs towards the right side of the mat, and you could kind of rock your pelvis a bit, shift your pelvis so you can lean all the way onto the right side. We'll keep our chest open up towards the ceiling, but it could be that your left shoulder is very high up. It's not on the mat. Or if you can reach, you can bring a prop there under the left shoulder, under the left arm if you want. Or it might be that for you, the left shoulder happily comes down on the mat. Find a place where your hips, your lower back find ease. They might find a big stretch. It might be that for some of us, the knees are not on the mat, but the left shoulder is on the mat. So it's finding that balance between your lower body, your upper body, and then what's good for your spine in between. Breathing in and out. Head can turn to one side or the other. Take a couple more breaths in and out in your twist. And then if you have your legs in that crossing, just lean onto your right side so you can first release the crossing in the legs and then slide back onto your back. If you need to move any props to the opposite side of the mat, feel free to do that. And we'll do that same twist to the other side. So you have the option of crossing the legs, but it's very optional. You can keep legs just next to each other as well. If you want to cross the legs, bring your right leg on top around the left thigh, and then start to lean your whole pelvis to the left, legs coming down. Again, right shoulder can happily come off the mat. And then open your chest, or just turn your chest up towards the ceiling. See where your right arm is happy to go, without hurting in the back, without hurting in the shoulders or hips. Again, head might turn to one side or the other. There might be a lot of this kind of adjustment, wiggling going on until you find your shape. And then see where you can find some space for your breaths. How would it feel to still breathe down to the belly, to the bottom of the ribs, to the chest. Each breath being like a wave going through the spine, down to the lower back, down to the hips. it's those waves that offer the release as well. Take a couple more breaths here, in and out, in your twist. And then to release that twist, you can lean a bit more towards the legs on your left-hand side so you can release that crossing before sliding back onto the back. And then we're going to go into happy baby pose as our final pose before Shavasana pose. So bring your knees towards the armpits and then reach hands for the feet. And you could stay here, so more like a butterfly shape, feet closer together. You could also hold your ankles or hold the backs of your thighs. And then if you want, you can lift the feet up towards the ceiling for that full happy baby. And often it's quite nice to move in that happy baby pose. You might bend and straighten the legs. You might rock from side to side. What makes your happy baby happy in this moment? You might also play with rocking the pelvis off the mat or grounding the back of the pelvis onto the mat. Just give yourself a few more breaths in this pose. Sending a few more breaths down towards the pelvis. And then after your few breaths, start to slowly release your feet down. Bring feet onto the mat, and then we'll find a brief Shavasana pose. You might extend your legs onto the mat. If you have a bolster there, you could bring the bolster under the legs if you like that support. Or maybe there's a different shape, different place for your legs. You bring hands onto your belly or onto your hips. And then give yourself a moment to breathe here. Check in with the breath. Allowing that space for your breath. Moving them down towards the belly, towards the lower back. Feeling that heaviness of your pelvis. Allowing exhalations to still soften tension. Releasing those tensions we don't need right now. Give yourself a few more breaths in your resting pose. And if you feel like extending this Shavasana pose, you are more than welcome to stay here longer. Or if you feel like slowly closing your practice now, you could bring some gentle movement to your hands and feet. Circling the wrists, circling your ankles, and maybe reaching arms overhead along the floor and gently stretching the body long. Taking a deeper breath in and out. And then when you feel ready, you can slowly bring yourself back up into a seat, into your final seat. Maybe it's returning back to that seat that you had in the beginning of the practice. And if it's a part of your practice, you can bring your hands, your palms together in front of the chest. And as always, at the end of the practice, most importantly, thank yourself for taking some time to move, to breathe today. And I thank you very much for joining in, for taking some time to move together, for joining in this practice. Namaste. Thank you.